Hey, I'm Justin Abel. I'm a producer and mixer, and today I'm here with STL Tones. We're going to be doing episode 2 of the Mix Creative series, so let's get into it. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about when it comes to gain staging. Really, if we're boiling it down, the concept is just making sure that the audio that you're recording or mixing is being recorded or mixed at a level that is hitting the computer software or your hardware at a level that it wants to see. So we'll get into a session and just kind of go through a bunch of examples on how to just make sure that your sources are hitting plugins, specifically in this case, Control Hub, in a way that is optimal for the traces that you're going to be loading up. This song that we're working on today is by a band called '09, and it is called American Disease. It features Kellen Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens. It's a pretty cool track. I worked on it in 2020. And really, really love how this turned out. So yeah, let's dive in. Okay, so here's the session. This is just the basic layout that I do on everything. So I'll just take you through it really fast. These are all stereo folders. So we have percussion in the percussion sum, bass guitar in the bass guitar sum, synths in the synth sum, etc. We'll kind of go through everything and pick out things that we can use Control Hub on and maybe just improve things, but also maybe swap out a couple chains for Control Hub and have to figure out the gain staging together. We'll also just talk about how I got the tones and made sure that the sources sounded how I wanted them to. So let's listen to the mix first. This is the final mix of the song. So super cool song, just big rock, big guitars. The vocal is like incredibly present, and that was really important to all of us. And so, yeah, that's the final mix. Let's hop over to what is happening right now, which is going to be different than the final mix because as you can see right here, I have a hardware insert on my mix bus. And so I took that off and we're going to replace it. We're going to open up Control Hub and use Control Hub to replace what I'm doing in hardware form. On all of my mixes, usually I'm using the Wes Audio bus compressor, which is an SSL style compressor, into a pair of Clariphonics, which is a high shelf EQ basically. And so I already know that it's going to be dark and probably a little quieter because it's not compressed. Let's listen all A-B between the final mix and what we're hearing, just so that we're all kind of on the same page. So yeah, you kind of hear there's like a blanket that gets put over everything when we're not listening to the final mix. Well, let's listen to the chorus too. Yeah, the final mix is just a little bit more rude in a cool way. So let's try to get it there using Control Hub and making sure that we're going to be hitting the plugin in a way. So right here's the input section. So this fader right here is input going into the traces, and then this is output going out of the traces or out of the plugin. And so even before we load a preset, you can go ahead and look at this meter and see if you're hitting in a range that is going to be great. Yeah, so honestly, this is like way too loud. Yeah, if I were going into this plugin to use mix bus stuff, I'd be trying to peak around -6, maybe a little bit less, but I feel like that's gonna be a good starting point. Let's go into this pack because there are incredible presets for mix bus and mastering. So let's just kind of scroll through a couple and see what they do. A good note for this plugin is that you only have to set this one time, and if you're recalling different presets, as you can see, this section does not change, which is invaluable because you literally just set it one time, and you can trust that that level is going to be hitting the plugin. So let's listen for a little bit. I feel like I liked that very first preset, which I've used this on a couple mixes already. I just don't need this boost. I really like what that's doing. Let's compare that to the final mix. I mean, that sounds pretty dang close to me. Let's limit a little bit too. I usually limit my mixes, which this is the final mix version, which is pre-mastering. And so I take off a little bit of limiting, but you can see that, you know, the mix is being compressed decently because it's a little bit of a sausage. It's not too bad, but so let's get it a little bit louder. This limiter is really powerful, and it remains, or it keeps punch intact really well, actually. You do have gain reduction meters here and you can tell we're not even really getting any gain reduction because I'll pull down the threshold just to show you. But yeah, I mean, that's adding a significant amount of volume. So now let's undo this move to hit the plugin at full blast and just kind of let's just see what it sounds like. So we're at -5.9 right now. Here is at unity. So if I were to just load up this preset as is with the fader like that, I instantly would think, oh, okay, this preset does not work because it's way too compressed. I don't know why you would ever want it like that. And it's distorting and this is just too much. But it's not the preset's fault. That would be my fault. So let's take this down. Actually, here, let's listen and we'll take it down at the same time. You can hear that you get to a certain level where it starts to kind of overdrive a little bit in a way that I wouldn't want, which I feel like is, you know, it's around like 5.6 or something. And so, you know, you can work in a way where you find where pushing too much is and then back off from there. I mean, that sounds awesome to me. So let's move on. Let's go up. Maybe we'll just go up and we'll hit one thing per food group, as it were. let's talk about source tone for this very first section. Okay, so the beginning of the song starts with a cool, so I knew that we wanted to start this song in some way with a shrunken down kit that sounds kind of bad intentionally, so that when the partway through the verse came in, it was impactful and actually special sounding. So the juxtaposition of this sound to, and it sounds like an event because we could have just started the song with full blast drum sounding huge from the beginning, but it's kind of makes the song more boring. And it also gives Kellen a chance to just be featured at the beginning of the song, and you hear his voice really, really clear up the center. So to do this kind of sound, I am using like mostly room mics and blowing stuff out in a way that that just sounds kind of bad, I would say. It's really knocky. It's kind of like, it's kind of knocky and, very not full range. This mic right here was compressed like that on the way in, which is just a mic pointing at the corner of my drum room. And, maybe traditionally that wouldn't be viewed as a good source, but I knew that I was going to want something that has a lot of character and, it's non-recreatable for the beginning of this song. So I think that that's a good example of a source tone that maybe traditionally wouldn't be good, or maybe it wouldn't be good for another song. But for this case, it sounds really good and I like it. Let's go to bass. So the bass that was used on this was a Dingwall. I'll play it. I have a bunch of stuff frozen down to make my computer happy, just so that you're aware. Let's just replace all of those plugins with Control Hub. See what we can do. Usually on bass bus, what I'm looking for is, overall tone shaping, and I'll do things like multi-band compression to make the bass duck out of the way of the kick a little bit. But yeah, let's just do some overall tone shaping with this. Let's open up George Lever, because this is brand new. I actually haven't even looked at these presets yet. You can see that we're at a level that I think is going to be good. I feel like this was kind of cool. Maybe compress it a little bit more. With lies, make me feel alright. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing. So then this is kind of a good example of the opposite game staging on the opposite end, where I think we're hitting the plugin right away at a good level, right around -12, -6. But after this processing, I mean, we are doing limiting and stuff. The bass sound that's coming out of the plugin is way louder. So let's do a little bit of compensation on the output. We make our own decisions, set fire to our intentions. Don't fill me up with lies, make me feel alright. Prescribe the things that I need. It sounds great. I love that. It's adding like a really cool, like low boost. I don't know exactly what it's doing. There is a little, I'm gonna go into the pre-EQ for this. There's a whistle. It sounds like. Yeah, much better. We make our own decisions, set by. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that sounds. Let's move on. Let's go to rhythm guitars. So all of these guitars are either plug-in amps or Kempers. As you can see, I was using Tone Hub, which I think all of these are the Lee Malia. Yeah. If you have this, number one, or like OCD 1 and 2, I just love those presets. So yeah, let's talk about the tone at the very beginning and see if we can make it any better with a Control Hub instance. Maybe we'll replace that plugin too. So first of all, let's check our input. And let's go into, I'm interested in this George Lever stuff. Ooh. I really like the sound of this notched mountains. So let's just see what happens if we're hitting this preset too hard. I really like how this sounds. Let's hear this in context. We need to do a little bit of high-end work. I found a new religion that feeds on my addiction. And then a little bit of low end too. Out. I found a new religion that feeds on my addiction. It fills me up inside. It makes me feel alive. We make all. Oh, I love how that sounds. Very cool. Let's go to, so there's this post-chorus section. It has this big riff in it. Let's listen to it. So this is an example of these meters. This is an example of a time that I am intentionally not gain staging well. I'm gonna just keep this plugin chain intact because it is the sound of the guitar. So let's take everything out. So this is, like I said, this is the Kemper, which I believe that this is the Lee Malia, the pack from STL on the Kemper. And this would be using one of his presets. So I'm just doing, this is cleanup work. And then these next few plugins are probably going to be very drastic moves, intentionally overdriving into plugins because I'm looking for top end fizz that is digital clipping in a bad way. But this is just what I wanted. So yeah, that's doing a lot. You can see how much level I'm gaining from this plugin alone, which I'm completely okay with that. This plugin is really cool. It definitely adds a lot of grit if you want it to. Okay, and I'm doing a fat boost at around 800 because I think it's just getting a little brutal. And what's this? Just cleaning up some of that cab woof sound when he's muting. Okay, and then just to like drive that point home even farther, I have an additional guitar that is the DI. Yes, this is the DI that was recorded through the Kemper. This is just separate, so it's sounds like a DI. And I went even harder on this. So I have an instance of Tone Hub that I'm assuming, yeah, Happy Intro 2 is very cool. Again, if you have this and you're looking for like single string rock guitars that are Bring Me the Horizon-esque, that's a great preset for it. Scooping out some lows and then using this plugin. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is making the guitar into a synth. So that's without. So I feel like that's a pretty good example of something that is technically wrong. And yes, maybe you are kind of ruining your source, or you're, gain staging improperly, intentionally into plugins for effect. Let's go into vocals. Obviously, Kellen is known to be an incredible singer, which he is an incredible singer. Working with him was a dream. He recorded all of these files on his own and sent them to us. We'll work on this pre-chorus because he's singing a little harder and a little higher.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous.
So great sounding vocal. I know that he uses a Cathedral Pipes U47. So great mic, perfect for his voice. So let's first look at this input section.
Prescribe the things
It's a little
that
hot.
I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous.
Let's open up some vocal presets. Let's go into Atrium, see what they have.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous.
I really like this.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing.
You need to do a little bit of pre-EQing to take out some of the low end of his voice.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. We remain unconscious, and when there's nothing to believe.
I'll mute the doubles for now.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. We remain. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous.
So yeah, you can see when you're boosting or if you're hitting the plugin too hard, the compression gets a little bit grabbier than it should be.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous.
That sounds great. I mean, that sounds just like gain reduction.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. We remain unconscious, and when there's nothing to believe, we walk a tightrope we can balance.
Let's see if we can add a little bit of grit to it. That's a very clean preset. And usually, especially for a voice like Kellen's, you can see I had a decapitator at the end, and I also was using CQ for some harmonics. Let's see. Let's do the Destroyer because that's what I was using in the mix.
And then it. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe
So I like how this sounds. Let's mess with the input.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous.
Yeah, I'm really liking that. Adding distortion or like saturation to vocals is a good way of just, it's almost like EQ, especially in the context of a full mix, because you're just adding upper harmonics that, you know, can make your vocal appear to be brighter. I'm going to add a little bit of brightness in the pre-EQ section.
Prescribe the things that I need. There's nothing wrong with being callous. We remain unconscious, and when there's nothing to believe,
I really like how that sounds. I think that sounds great. Okay, so hopefully those are helpful tools and maybe helps your ear hear what good gain staging in practice sounds like or looks like. And so thank you again for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below and we'll definitely hit them all. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes of this series, feel free to drop them below as well. We're going to be doing one episode every month, and so there's plenty of content to come. And if you missed the first episode last month, it was all about drums, and I mixed an entire song of, drums for an entire song using just the Control Hub plugin. Basically, I used like a couple other plugins, barely. And I think it turned out freaking awesome. So if you missed it, head over and look for that video, and make sure that you like this video and subscribe to STL Tones, the YouTube channel, to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the awesome content that is coming out. So thanks again for joining me. I'll see you next month.